Nikki Steele from TigerNet.com. So, Nikki, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. And just tell us a little bit about what you do for TigerNet.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm the staff writer for TigerNet. I cover mostly recruiting. I help David Hood, our senior sports writer, football, basketball, baseball, anything Clemson sports, that's what we do.
Well, we really appreciate you, that work that y'all do at TigerNet, one of the best sources for Clemson sports, not just football, but basketball, baseball, covering it all. But just talk a little bit about Vic Beasley deciding to stay and what that means for Clemson looking ahead to fall of 2014.
Yeah, we finally got to talk to Vic after he announced his decision late Wednesday. He took it right down to the wire with his decision, but he said, I wanted to come back and get my degree. Records, the sack record, the team record, he said, none of that matters to me. I want my degree before I move on to the NFL, and I want to be the best player I can possibly be. With him coming back, you add him in the Corey Crawford, Grady Jarrett, DJ Reader, all those guys. Clemson's defensive line could be the best in the country next year. I mean, obviously, teams are going to try to double-team him, but when you have Grady Jarrett, who is virtually unblockable against Ohio State in the Orange Bowl, and then you have Corey Crawford on the other end, you can't double-team Vic Beasley. So this defensive line could wreak a lot of havoc in the ACC next year.
Right, they really can, and I think Corey Crawford coming back was huge for Clemson. That defense should be one of the strengths looking ahead to next year. But just talk a little bit about what's been, obviously Chad Morris being such a hot coordinator out there for the past couple of years. But, especially in the last couple of days, especially yesterday, there was a lot of speculation about him going to Vanderbilt. Just tell us a little bit about, I think those rumors have kind of been silenced, but just kind of update us on that a little bit.
Yeah, Clemson fans and Clemson Nation can kind of breathe a collective sigh of relief today because obviously Chad Morris isn't going anywhere. I know there were a lot of rumors floating on other Clemson websites and on Twitter today, yesterday, and in the days before about him leaving. But I'm not sure how close he ever came to leaving. We talked to a few people, and we're not sure that he ever really interviewed for that job. Now, that's not to say that his agent didn't talk with somebody at Vanderbilt. But yesterday, when people were claiming he was in Atlanta interviewing, he was with Tony Elliott all day. They were on the recruiting trail for Clemson trying to see some of these 2014 commits and 2015 commits. So, rumors are out there, and you're never really going to get rid of that. But Chad Morris is here to stay. His daughter is a senior, will be a senior next year in high school, and I think he wants to let her finish out at Daniel High School before making a future move.
Nikki, Michael Newton here. Thanks again for joining. You mentioned recruiting with Chad Morris. Do you think all the talent coming in here is a factor in him staying? We got Deshaun Watson, Mike Williams, and just a ton of players on the offensive side of the ball that are really looking to make an impact next year and beyond.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have one of the top quarterbacks in Chad Kelly returning. You have the number one quarterback in Deshaun Watson, who's already here for spring ball, who will have an entire spring, summer to go through workouts with the team. You have two of the top receivers in this year's class in Damari Kidd, Artavis Scott. To add to Mike Williams, to TJ Green, to all the already talent this year. Nice backfield next year. We've heard Chad Morris say for 3 years now, I want to be a run-first team and run the smash mouth spread like Auburn does. And he hasn't really had the personnel to do that. Well, next year is his year with all the running backs that we finally have here. So, I mean, yeah, he's got all the talent in the world. If he would have gone to Vanderbilt, the talent level's not near the same that he has at Clemson right now.
I agree. You see, especially a lot of the recruits that were going to Vanderbilt following James Franklin decommitting. You mentioned the quarterback race. We've got Cole Stout returning for his senior year. Then we've got Chad Kelly, who just a few years ago was the number one quarterback in New York. And then Deshaun Watson coming in, freshman, number one quarterback. A dual threat, if you ever saw one. Who do you think will be the starter? How do you see that quarterback race playing out?
I know Clemson fans probably want me to say that Deshaun Watson's going to be the starter when we line up and play Georgia, but it's not going to happen. I mean, he would truly have to already know the playbook and be able to just go out there and blow everybody away. In my opinion, you give the ball to your senior. Cole Stout has done nothing but prove that he can run this offense. He threw for almost 90% last year. completing 90% of his passes. He showed you that he could move the pocket and use his legs in some of the games. So you're going to have a great defense in addition to that. All you need next year is somebody to manage the game. You don't need a college boy to go win the game for you. Hand the ball off, get it to your receivers, let them go win the game, let your defense shut down your opponent.
Well, we'll switch gears a little bit from football. Talk a little bit about that, the basketball, the win over Duke last week, winning on the road at Virginia Tech, which I thought was, coming off a huge win versus Duke. They got their emotions in check and went on the road to get a win. Just talk about the last week for Clemson basketball.
First of all, that win over Duke was huge. It was kind of funny because we had to go to Dabo Swinney's postseason wrap-up right before that. So I was transcribing audio until about 10 minutes left to go in the game, which ended up being the most exciting part. But big win for the program to show these kids that, they can compete with the best in the ACC and they can beat anybody. To follow that up with a road win against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech isn't going to win the ACC by any stretch of the imagination. But any road win for this team, any road win, period, is huge. And Clemson's won 2 consecutive ACC road games for the first time since 2008-09. And with a win tomorrow against Wake Forest, they tie their win record from last season, and we still have 2 months to go in the season. So it's huge.
Looking ahead to March, the postseason, right now Florida State looks like an 8 seed, so where we thought that might be a bad loss, not turning out to be as bad as we thought. Arkansas pulling off the big win against Kentucky, looking to be a good team. Where do you see Clemson after losses to both those teams and then a bad loss at Auburn? What does this team have to do to make the NCAA tournament?
I'm not sure that we're ready to say Clemson can make the NCAA tournament. I think a good step for this team this year will be make the NIT. Just play postseason ball somewhere. And I think, take care of business at home. You've got Georgia Tech at home. You've got Wake Forest at home, Virginia, NC State, Maryland, Miami, before finishing off with Pittsburgh. Those are all very winnable games. Take care of your home games, and then go on the road and upset some people. Obviously, the 3-game stretch with Pittsburgh, North Carolina, and Florida State on the road isn't easy. But you go to Georgia Tech, you go to Wake Forest, that's 2 more wins that are very easy that you can pick up. And then go win a couple of games in the ACC tournament. Just make the NIT next year and take that next step to the NCAA the year after when you actually have some seniors on this team.
Once again, we're talking with Nikki Steele from TigerNet.com. I agree the NIT would be a good step for us. We've got 5 of 6 coming up on the road, including at UNC, where Clemson has never won. This year, UNC not doing so well. Is this the year we finally beat them in Chapel Hill?
Clemson's playing great defense right now, which I think bodes well for them going on the road, trying to keep that a low-scoring game. Clemson can remain unranked. As bad as that sounds, North Carolina can't seem to stay focused against unranked teams, so maybe the Tigers have a shot. I know I'll be there just in case it does happen, but this may be their best shot that they'll have in a long time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And, we really appreciate you being on with us this afternoon. Once again, Nikki Steele from TigerNet.com, and we'll definitely have you back on. But keep doing the great work that y'all do at TigerNet. We really enjoy reading all the articles and all the updates that y'all give throughout the day, even always something going on with Clemson.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on and look forward to talking with you again.
All right, thanks, Nikki. We appreciate it. That's Nikki Steele from TigerNet.com.